And then, of course, in Q4 of this year, a new premium Call of Duty release, which is already generating excitement in our playtests.
In Q4, we plan to launch the next premium release of Call of Duty. We can't wait to unveil what our teams have been working on, and we feel great about the content. Although, as is customary, we are prudently assuming lower sell-in for Q4 versus Modern Warfare this past year.
What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and Activision practically confirmed that Treyarch is working on the next Call of Duty without even saying it. And I'm sure you guys are thinking, well, they specifically didn't mention a studio this time. Well, as Charlie Intel reported, this is the first time, I think, probably in forever, that Activision didn't clarify which studios were working on the upcoming Call of Duty. And I think it's probably smart because something could fall through. They could announce that Treyarch is working on it with Raven and Sledgehammer under their belt, but for all we know, in the next 2 months, all of a sudden Sledgehammer backs out and does something else, or Activision moves them to a different department, to a different game, to a different IP. Things could easily change over the next few months, which is why they probably didn't clarify who's making the game. And there's also the worry that maybe things are just in shambles right now. Treyarch is working on it with Raven and Sledgehammer, but maybe that's not a permanent position for them. Maybe Treyarch really won't be finishing COD 2020, but looking at reputable leakers and reliable inside sources, it does seem like Treyarch is definitely working on the next Call of Duty. But think about that, right? Activision specifically did not mention which studios are making the next Call of Duty, and I think it's actually really smart, because if you think about it, Black Ops 4 wasn't received all that well by the community, right? So if they go ahead and say right now that Treyarch is working on the next Call of Duty again, I think they could predict that the game might not sell as well. And they actually said that, but as Charlie Intel also reminded us with, Modern Warfare was also expected not to sell as well as Black Ops 4 did at release, but it actually surpassed expectations. It looks like a bit of an investor strat for Activision to say, hey, look at this, right? The next game is not going to perform as well as the last one, and we're expecting some low numbers, but then the game actually releases, blows their expectations through the roof, which as a result really pleases their investors, building more trust. So I think it's a bit of a strategy, right? Come out with low expectations, completely surpass expectations, and probably predict that it will surpass expectations, but just not reveal that to the public, and it's better marketing for them, right? A game that was expected to underperform all of a sudden overperforms, does extraordinarily well. It seems like that's a model with every Call of Duty going forward. And again, as I was saying with Treyarch, right, if they don't say who's making the game right now, it builds up more anticipation, probably could, you know, help them anticipate more pre-order sales for the next Call of Duty, right? And I'm really excited to know when they're going to finally announce this, but again, plans could fall through over the next few months, so we have absolutely no idea what's going on with that. But the call didn't reveal very much, and as I said, it's probably one of the only calls ever that revealed the tiniest amount of information about the next Call of Duty. But they said a couple of promising things that with playtesting, the game's looking very promising, so they're excited about that. They called it a premium Call of Duty release. For all we know, they can bundle the next Call of Duty, which is expected to be a very simple game, with a remaster of a game like Modern Warfare 2 or World at War. Maybe they'll have a free-to-play component right off the bat at release, either a Battle Royale, or maybe Zombies will be a separate download this time around. We have no idea what a premium Call of Duty release actually means for Call of Duty 2020, but as I also tweeted out, it seems like this year's release is going to be a little bit messy, and messy in a similar way that Call of Duty Ghosts was back in 2013, right? The game was made on a 2-year development cycle, and they had other studios come in. I think it was High Moon Studios, Raven, and some other ones come in to make the last gen port of Call of Duty Ghost, while Infinity Ward and Neversoft really worked on the current gen port for PlayStation 4, Xbox One. But it's going to be curious to see how a 2-year developed Call of Duty, in the state that it's in right now, being made not only for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, but then also having to be the first Call of Duty title on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Now, the news was a bit interesting today because due to the coronavirus, it seems like production and manufacturing on the PlayStation 5 and even the Xbox Series X may be postponed or delayed slightly, which could actually affect how the next Call of Duty works. So I'm curious if Treyarch and their other support studios are meant to make COD 2020 specifically for current gen, then they'll have another studio come in to make the port for next gen. Like, I'm not sure how that process is going to work this time around due to the circumstances of the manufacturing process process with the next-gen consoles themselves. Now, Activision also talked about the Season Pass model, how by removing the Season Pass model and removing supply drops, it created higher player interaction in Modern Warfare, higher microtransactions, right? The microtransaction sales apparently double that of Black Ops 4 sales. So it seems like every single year they are outdoing themselves. Call of Duty is far from dead. They have like, what, 50 million new players to the COD franchise, thanks to COD Mobile alone as well, generated over $3 billion in revenue, which is absolutely insane. The revenue is just from microtransactions alone, not at all accounting for the actual game sales of their various IPs. So that's mind-blowing. They're only getting bigger. So, you know, bigger isn't always better, but we'll just see how that affects Treyarch's next Call of Duty come, you know, the next 6 months or so when we get an actual announcement, we get some trailers, some reveals. And in terms of how Black Ops 5 is going to work, right, with no season pass, presumably like Modern Warfare, how will that affect zombies? How will that affect new DLC weapons? Will there be another Battle Royale in that game, or will they not put a new Blackout in Black Ops 5 because the Battle Royale for Modern Warfare is still around the corner if that doesn't get scrapped, right? Gaming Revolution's main source has said that it's either coming with Season 2, Season 3, or will be scrapped because it's going to be a little too late to put that out, you know, close to middle of spring, right? That needs to come out ASAP so that it gets some time to shine before Call of Duty 2020 does come out. They also mentioned crossplay a little bit, which I found very, very interesting. Crossplay definitely is something that I think Call of Duty desperately needs to really help those player bases, because Black Ops 4 is an example. There's a lot of people out there still interested in Blackout and the multiplayer, but the player base on PC is god awful. But with something like crossplay, it just keeps replayability through the roof. And Modern Warfare has proven that, and Activision acknowledged that crossplay was a great opportunity for fans of the Call of Duty franchise who may have had friends on other platforms or they moved around. It's great to bring everybody together, unify the entire community, right? Very similar to what Fortnite did on a whole other level with mobile and PC and, you know, certain exclusive servers and stuff, right? Like, all of that is what Call of Duty needs, and I think going forward, it's probably going to be a norm for the franchise, having crossplay, using an Activision account to add other friends and to join people, and then being able to play on any platform that you want. That is honestly one of the biggest changes for the actual series. Now, they also talked about other unannounced Call of Duty related projects, and people were speculating that could be the Modern Warfare Battle Royale or Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. They do expect the player base to get even higher later this year with, again, these unannounced IPs and unannounced projects related to Call of Duty. So there's so many possibilities with that, right? Remastering an old Call of Duty game was proven to be very successful with the first Modern Warfare. I just think it's a bit messy how you had Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. You had other Warfare games, right? Warfare in the title with Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare. You then have Modern Warfare Remastered, then just Modern Warfare. So many Warfares over the past 10 years that it's getting a bit messy, but I think remastering Call of Duties are a great idea, and as reported by very reputable people, Modern Warfare 2 Remastered has been done for over a year now, and at first it was just campaign only, and it seems like that got delayed once they saw that everybody wants to see multiplayer in there. And I think it would be a good idea to remaster Modern Warfare 2, but looking at how the new Modern Warfare is a reboot, it is kind of redundant to be like, okay, we have a new Modern Warfare reboot, we're going to remaster the old Modern Warfare 2, and then Infinity Ward's the next Call of Duty is actually going to be another Modern Warfare 2. Like, it's a bit messy looking at that, so I have no idea what their plans could be with that. I would not mind, you know, delaying COD 2020 by a year and just having maybe some more content in Black Ops 4 and then Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. That could keep me for another year, but it seems like that is not Activision's plan. A new Call of Duty is definitely releasing later this fall. Looking at the Gaming Revolution's information about the Modern Warfare Battle Royale kind of gives me the interpretation that the Battle Royale really isn't that fun. It's pretty much more of the same, pretty much playing ground war with that slow pace action, a lot of camping, just encouraging the same gameplay that a lot of people despise in Modern Warfare. But also looking at a tweet from a good lad, Newbie Gaming, his personal opinion on the COD development cycle is that they revert back to a 2-year cycle with 2 to 3 dev teams working on a COD, which I think is a very interesting idea and could prove to be a little experimental, but could prove to be very successful as well, right? 2-year CODs were great back in the day, but you got to remember 2-year CODs back in the day were for last gen hardware, so the games weren't as demanding, didn't take as long to make. But looking at these next gen titles, having multiple studios studios work on one Call of Duty alone could prove to be great, as he says too, having, you know, 3 modes hit a high level quality, right? What if Treyarch puts the focus on campaign and zombies, right? Sledgehammer puts a focus on the multiplayer, Raven puts a focus on some other mode, right? A battle royale or something, a new version of Blackout. If each studio puts a focus on 1 or 2 modes and, you know, put all that together, it could prove to be a very, very high quality experience. So I'm curious how that will work, but looking at how the cycle looks right now, it probably is going back to a 2-year cycle. I think COD 2021 is going to be another Infinity Ward release, which could also explain why Modern Warfare has a really awkward release schedule when it comes to post-launch content. You know, there isn't a roadmap, there isn't much communication going on. Why are they so busy, right? Are they really working on the current Modern Warfare and adding new content to it? Or are they really trying to rush and get ahead of schedule for Call of Duty 2021, which is going to be the sequel to this year's Modern Warfare, right? Modern Warfare 2, or however they're going to describe it. So there's a lot going on with the COD franchise right now. I just thought I'd break that down here in a video today. I have another Zombies video probably dropping at some point later tonight. I have a sponsor video dropping tomorrow. Plenty of stuff coming out over the weekend. Really exciting content coming right up. But yeah, the COD franchise is in a very interesting state right now. I think this fall's release is going to be one of the most interesting, if not the most interesting release we've had since Call of Duty Ghosts, where you have a game that's made on a short schedule with multiple studios, then also having a version or a port of that being put onto next generation hardware too, being launch titles essentially for next gen consoles. That's if PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X manufacturing process goes smoothly due to the coronavirus. So I'm curious how that whole situation is going to impact the release of the next gen console. They also didn't mention any new content coming to Black Ops 4 and really didn't specify much for Modern Warfare's next season either. So they're probably keeping things as a surprise as of right now. But unless Black Ops 4 gets some content to hype up Treyarch's next COD, which is going to be 2020, unless they drop like some surprise map pack or some mini low budget operations or some new weapons, I think as of right now Black Ops 4 is probably over. But again, it could surprise us. I think it's very likely that as Treyarch's next release is around the corner, they'll drop little hints and pieces and a taste of that next experience in Black Ops 4 as they've done with previous years, right? Dropping hints about Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 2, dropping, you know, weather dynamic maps in Black Ops 3 to tease how Black Ops 4 is going to work. They'll always do that with their next Call of Duty. So we'll see how that's handled and how that's going to impact Black Ops 4 going forward. But again, never say never. They've really chosen to be a little bit private with this investors call in terms of what they announce and what they reveal when it comes to Call of Duty, which I think is different as opposed to previous years. We always get the name of the studio, who's making the next COD, what they expect, a little bit more detail about the direction of the game, but this time we just didn't get that. But that is about it. Check all links down below in the description. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.